A pleasant good morning to all of our valued viewers here in the British Virgin Islands, and of course, hello to our regional viewers as well. Now, today is a very important day for us here at 284 Media. With all that's unfolding in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have seen not just the consistent eruptions, but also the pyroclastic flows. We have seen the displacement, the devastation that has been happening over there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And as we continue to take stock of that, one thing is for sure, our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines definitely need our help. Now, among the mobilizing efforts on the ground, we have seen the Rotary family of the British Virgin Islands coming together to host a telethon and bucket brigade, which of course will aid victims of that volcanic eruption that's currently happening in St. Vincent. Today we speak with immediate past Assistant Governor, Mrs. Lorna Smith, and also Assistant Governor Ryan Jallock to tell us all about how the telethon is going to go down tomorrow, and also, more importantly, how you too can be a part of it. So stick with us. There is more after this very quick commercial break.
The wind.
What in the hell?
I'm freaking out.
Is about these people.
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the
What's poppin'? What's really good?
Davis has won it for the Lakers.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 Media. Now, as promised, today we are joined by esteemed guests, Mrs. Lorna Smith, and Mr. Ryan Jallock, both Rotarians, of course, representing today as it relates to the very important telethon that will be hosted tomorrow, Thursday. Welcome, Mrs. Smith and Mr. Jallock to 284 Media.
Thank you, Javon.
Thank you very much, Javon.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for your support.
Absolutely. Now, we have continued to pay attention. We're very tuned into what's happening on the ground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a tragic turn of events. If you can, for our viewers, just kindly sum up what's been happening since the volcano began erupting on Thursday evening.
Well, that's a daunting effort, but I'll do my best to give everybody sort of a sense. Everybody has definitely seen the videos, the stories, the pictures that have been floating on social media, and unfortunately, all of that is true. There is widespread devastation from the volcanic eruptions, which started on the 9th of April, and have continued on a daily basis with eruptions getting larger and larger, and the devastation from pyroclastic flows now affecting various parts of the island. Villages are being wiped out. Livestock is being killed. Crops are obviously heavily impacted or destroyed because of all of the volcanic ash and the flows. So that's just the physical impacts, but more importantly, the human impact is disheartening, I guess, and devastating to what's going on. There have been, from what we've been told, at least 20,000 persons have been displaced who are in the red zone around the volcano. Of those, there's only shelter for 5,000 persons in St. Vincent. So there's about 26 shelters around St. Vincent. So they have 5,000 spots there. So those are all filled. About 8,000 persons are staying with friends and family. So you have houses that might have 15, 20 persons in them. And then food would be running scarce from there. What we've been told is essentially the water is down to 20% of the capacity because a lot of the water sources have been contaminated with either ash or runoff. So they only have about 20% of the capacity. So the water is desperate need. And that seems to be the greatest need over there. And then obviously the mental impacts of the persons in St. Vincent from this. I mean, it's not so long ago that we were in a similar situation with Hurricane Irma, and we can sort of relate to what they're going through. So it is something that needs our assistance and needs our help from Rotary, and the entire BVI family are getting together and making sure that our brothers and sisters are being helped. I mean, St. Vincent itself, in the Vincentians here in the BVI, It makes up about 7% of our population.
Yes.
So we have to help them. It's our duty to make sure that that the Vincentians are helped the same way as the Vincentians came to our aid 3 years ago after Irma. They sent supplies, they sent linesmen, funds, and so on and so forth. So it's we need to do our part.
Absolutely.
I would add, Javon, that it's not just a St. Vincent catastrophe, it's a Caribbean catastrophe.
Right.
I don't know whether the airport on Barbados is open today, but I know that for the last few days it's been closed, as has obviously been St. Vincent, which cuts off a lot of our tourism, our supplies to the region.
Yes.
And we are certainly very happy that you at 284 Media are giving us this opportunity to promote what we are planning to do to help the people of St. Vincent.
All right. You just touched on a few keynotes. The fact that just a mere few years ago we were in a similar position, so we understand firsthand the desperate need that is in St. Vincent at this time. What do you want to say to persons as we begin to get into what the telethon will look like tomorrow? And also, if you can just expand a little bit on why is this, because we've seen time and time over Rotarians continuing to lend to not just local causes, but regional causes as well. Why is this so close to the hearts of Rotarians?
Well, disaster response or disaster risk reduction, whether it depends on the time, is in our DNA. Rotarians around the world, we're 1.2 million persons, and we have clubs in most areas around the world. So when there are disasters, we have probably the widest network to be able to respond with clubs on the ground. So Rotary has clubs in St. Vincent who we will be partnering with, and they are on the ground partnering with the other NGOs in St. Vincent to ensure that all of the needs of the Vincentians are being met. So it's something we have the transparency within the organization because of the controls and the requirements that we have to have within the Rotary network to when we respond to these from a financial point of view.
Yes.
So for us, it's something that we do in the BVI. It's something that we do or we have done in Bahamas. If you remember, we've done in Haiti. We've done in Southeast Asia. Telethons and financial assistance, or giving the people of the Virgin Islands the ability to give what's needed most, which is typically money.
Right.
We take it upon ourselves that we have the best, one of the widest and strongest networks to make this done.
And this is what is most important, picking up on the point that our Assistant Governor made in relation to the BVI, the community. The BVI community is generous. The BVI community is kind. And were it not for the BVI community, the Rotary family would not be able to raise the kind of funds that we have over the years. We do have that history, but the history is really based on the response that we have been able to get from the community every time. Mm-hmm. And we hope that this time is no different.
Excellent. Now let's speak a little bit about what I know, Ryan, earlier you mentioned the need for water due to the water supplies being compromised and contaminated. Let's just speak to some of the additional needs on the ground and what type of help we're trying to get to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yes, virtually, Javon, everything is needed. Water, certainly. As has been said, there's probably only 20% running water. If you listen to the Prime Minister and his daily briefings, you realize the difficulty. I saw one of the I think it was a river this morning,
yes,
totally contaminated. Mm-hmm. Of course, there is need for buckets. There are all these anecdotes about people being given one bottle of water to do everything, including bathing. So that water is very essential. There is need for, of course, portable toilets, blankets, tents, sleeping mats, goggles, respirators. Oxygen is a problem. Certainly the containers, I believe, for the oxygen is very important. Hygiene kits. And food is going to be necessary as well. So virtually everything is needed. We understand, and we have all, not understand, we've all gone through this pandemic for the last, 14, 15 months?
Yes.
And we've all had our challenges, our difficulties, economically, and so on. But what has happened in St. Vincent is nothing to compare with what we have experienced in the British Virgin Islands.
Yes.
So to answer your question, everything is
Everything
needed.
is needed.
And just on that, just one thing I want to make on regarding the water is what they are really requesting is not small bottles of water. They're requesting gallon bottles of water or larger, because what they're finding is the larger gallon bottles or larger are they can use to store additional water in.
Yes.
So a small 500 milliliter bottle of water can't really serve a person the same way as a gallon bottle would. So we are asking persons when they give water to give the larger bottles, whether it be gallons or larger on that.
Excellent. Now let's get into the telethon, a very important collective effort by the Rotary family of the BVI. Of course, looking forward to the support of wider BVI. This is going to be tomorrow. Let's speak about what that will look like and, of course, how persons can get on board.
Yeah, so as we've done in the past, the telethon will be simulcasted on 284 Media, JTV, and also on the radio stations on ZBVI, CBN, and
Z-King, ZVCR, all of the radio stations.
So all of the radio stations are simulcasting the telethon. So persons will be able to call in. There will be posters. Look out for the posters on social media and elsewhere, which has the phone numbers to call in. So you can call in, make your pledge. We are accepting credit cards. So if you're able to pay by credit card, that would be the quickest and easiest way for us to do it. If you would rather pay by check or by cash, we'll be announcing various points where you can either have somebody, a Rotarian, pick up the funds, or we'll come by. So we will be having a panel throughout the evening. It starts at 7 o'clock, like I said, on JTV and on 284 Media and the radio station, starting at 7 to about 9:30. And we're having a panel discussion both with myself and Lorna, with Mrs. Del Maduro and other panelists. So it should be an exciting and interesting evening. We'll be zooming in persons who are on the ground in St. Vincent to give us a live feel as to what persons are going through, and also other persons here in the BVI. I believe the Premier is going to be speaking as well, and other persons. So please make sure you tune in, and as Lorna said, give generously, as generously as you can. We know the situation economically, but as Lorna said,
actually, we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we get the technology right. We may be able to hook up with at least 2 radio stations in St. Vincent, which would make it even more, it even more impactful.
Yes.
But I think you forgot the bucket.
The bucket brigade, I was going to get to
The
that.
bucket
next.
brigade, we must not forget that. This is for beginning at 4 o'clock, the Rotaractors and Interactors will be on the road collecting from you as you leave your offices on your way home, as much as you can give in whatever form. They will be collecting from you beginning at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So
Excellent. Now, I know both of you mentioned the generosity of the people of the BVI, and of course acknowledging that, yes, while we are going through a pandemic, what St. Vincent and the Grenadines is dealing with is, in addition to that, a double tragedy. So this is very difficult for persons on the ground. I recall very vividly, Mrs. Smith and Mr. Jalak, the last telethon we had. a young child, just about 6 or 7 years old, I'm having chills as I speak, coming into the area that we were hosting the telethon to commit her $10. And again, I really think that's testament to who we are as a collective people. As we begin to close out, please appeal to wider BVI on the need to give right now. And also the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines did mention that the best way to give is through NGOs, group efforts, because right now the ports are compromised. So, sending a little $100, $200 for your grandmother or cousin, it might not necessarily get to them. However, group efforts are being encouraged. So I really do think that this telethon will be an effective way to assist the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But as we close out, make a passionate appeal to our people to assist and support in whatever way they can.
Thanks, Javon. We know in the BVI when there is a disaster on how much other nations assist us. So it's imperative on all of us to give what we can. As Lorna said, what we go through during the pandemic and economically right now is nothing compared to what St. Vincent is going through. So please give what you can. I also want to recognize quickly the work of Lions, Red Cross, ADRA, and the government of the Virgin Islands as well. We're doing this collaboratively, all the efforts. We're doing the telethon, but there are, we're putting on the telethon, but there are other organizations working collaboratively here in the BVI and also in St. Vincent to make sure that all of the funds and supplies are going to those people who need it. So it really is in us to give.
And picking up on the point that Javon made about the child who gave $10, no amount is too small.
Yes.
Every penny will count. And every penny will go to the Rotary clubs, our counterparts in St. Vincent. So please give generously. Credit cards, debit cards, we have the phone numbers on the flyers that you can call into. We will accept cash, checks. Tell us where you are. We will have runners in Rotary who will come very quickly because it's very urgent that we collect this money, say by the end of the week, so that we can send it off by early next week to St. Vincent. So our goal, I don't like to name goals, our goal is 50,000, but I know we're going to raise more than that based on our previous record. And in fact, I should say that we have already begun to collect some money. And so we're very encouraged by what has happened already. And during the evening, we're going to have our district governor and other persons coming on to speak about Vincentians themselves, to speak about the whole tragedy,
Yes,
because you may as well call it that has occurred, and that will be urging people to give. It will make for a very interesting night, a night where we are looking to the generosity of you, the community, but it will be a night, an educational night, and a very interesting night as well.
All right, I want to thank both of you for coming and really bringing awareness to the causes on the ground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Like you mentioned, the BVI has a huge Vincentian diaspora, and we are closely connected. Like you mentioned as well, many of the countries in the region are already feeling the effects, the ripple effects. There's ashfall in Barbados, St. Lucia, the volcano eruption can be seen very vividly. St. Martin's have issued warnings. So this is a ripple effect indeed. And unfortunately, viewers, according to the experts on the ground, this is projected to continue for weeks or even months. No one knows when this catastrophe will end. And it is with that in mind that we are directly appealing to each and every one of you to tune in tomorrow evening, of course, to be a part of the Bucket Brigade 4 to 6. And then, of course, to tune in tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. sharp, where we here at 284 Media and all the other major stations will definitely be carrying this event. We are depending on you and looking forward to your support in this time of need as we aid and support our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'll give you a final opportunity to close out, Mr. Smith and Mr. Jalak. Just say your final goodbyes to our viewers, and we'll prepare for tomorrow.
I'll begin by again appealing to the community and to say thank you to the community for always supporting Rotary, for supporting the BVI and its efforts to help other countries that are less fortunate. As our AG said previously, they in turn have helped us. So, and I must emphasize that it is a Caribbean tragedy, and let's all give to the extent that we can tomorrow.
As we always say in the Caribbean, we're in this together. What affects one nation of the Caribbean affects us all. So we have to do it our part to ensure that we assist wherever we can, however we can. Whether if you can't give financially, if you can give food products or medical supplies, as we said before, there are avenues in which that will happen. We have to work together as this. We can't do this by ourselves. We have to work and collaborate together on this. And I appeal to the generosity, and I thank in advance the generosity of everybody here in the BVI. As somebody who didn't grow up here, it's so inspiring on what the BVI does for our brothers and sisters around the Caribbean, as well as assisting those in our own community. So let's keep this up, and as we say, we're in this together. So please tune in tomorrow night. Thank you.
All right, viewers, that was a very important interview with Rotarians, Mrs. Smith, as well as Mr. Jalak. Again, reminding you to tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. to be a part of this humanitarian effort to support St. Vincent and the Grenadines as they go through this tragic time. My name is Javon Wilson, and this has been my pleasure. But I must remind you, 4 p.m. today, we are going live. The government of the Virgin Islands is hosting its reopening ceremony of the seaport. And of course, later this evening, 6 p.m., my colleague Ron will be bringing you, your local, regional, as well as international doses of 284 News. So until then, take care.